Welcome to the video on the 401k rollover trap and why headline gains in your old account can be misleading. First, I will clarify why that 19% return you saw is just the performance of the underlying funds and not tied to the account container itself. Next, we will break down your 3 choices for old 401k money, the hidden pitfalls in each, and why fees and flexibility matter more than where the money lived before. Finally, we will walk through a decision framework, a checklist, and 2 quick quizzes to test your understanding before we wrap up. Here is the roadmap. First, we will debunk the container myth so you can see that the account wrapper and the investments inside are 2 different things. Then, we will compare the 3 main options for your old 401k. Leaving it where it is, rolling to a new employer plan, or rolling to a traditional IRA. After that, we will cover a critical warning for high earners who may want to do a backdoor Roth, because the pro-rata rule can create unintended taxes. Then, we will do a fee reality check and walk through a step-by-step process you can use to execute a rollover. Finally, we will reinforce the learning with diagrams, a practical checklist, and short quizzes. Before we dive in, please note this is educational content and not personalized tax, legal, or investment advice. Your situation may be unique, and plan features can vary widely. Always consult a fiduciary financial advisor or a qualified tax professional, especially when considering IRA rollovers, Roth conversions, or employer plan decisions. This video focuses on United States retirement accounts and rules, which can change over time. Let's distinguish the container from the contents. A 401k, a new 401k, or a traditional IRA is just the wrapper that holds your investments. The returns you saw, like 19%, came from the mutual funds, index funds, or ETFs inside, not from the account wrapper itself. Additionally, each container adds fees, rules, and access constraints. Therefore, when you move money between containers, you do not erase past performance. You choose a different wrapper that may have different fees, investment menus, and rules. Here's the trap. People often assume their old 401k is special because it showed strong returns. In reality, those returns came from the underlying investments, like an S&P 500 index fund. If you move those dollars into a different container, you can often buy the same or similar low-cost funds. The key difference is fees and flexibility. Old employer plans may have administrative charges or limited investment menus. Over time, those hidden costs can quietly slow your growth. Avoid letting past performance in a specific container dictate your next move. Focus instead on total long-term cost and the breadth of investment choices. Let's compare rolling to your new 401k versus moving funds to a traditional IRA. Rolling to a new 401k improves consolidation and may keep the door open for a backdoor Roth strategy because many advisors prefer a zero balance in traditional IRAs to avoid the pro-rata complication. However, 401k plans limit your investment menu, and fee quality varies by employer. On the other hand, a traditional IRA at a low-cost brokerage offers maximum flexibility, broad fund access, and often lower expense ratios. But for high earners planning backdoor Roth conversions, having pre-tax money in a traditional IRA triggers the pro-rata rule, which can cause unexpected taxes. This table shows why fees and menus matter. Old employer plans can carry hidden or ongoing administrative costs with limited investment choices. New 401k plans still have restricted menus and ongoing administrative fees. But quality can range from poor to excellent depending on employer negotiations. Traditional IRAs typically eliminate account-level administrative fees, grant broad access to low-cost index funds and ETFs, and offer the highest flexibility. Consequently, comparing expense ratios and administrative fees across containers is often more impactful than chasing the same set of returns in a more expensive wrapper. Use this checklist before initiating any rollover. First, list your current investments and their expense ratios because a few basis points can compound substantially over decades. Next, request a full fee disclosure from both your old plan and any prospective destination plan to uncover administrative charges. Then, compare menus, prioritizing low-cost index or target date funds. If you are a high earner who may use a backdoor Roth, confirm your traditional IRA pre-tax balance is 0 before executing conversions to avoid the pro-rata rule. Finally, decide on a direct trustee-to-trustee rollover rather than an indirect rollover when possible, to minimize errors and withholding. To execute a clean rollover, begin by contacting the destination provider, whether it is your new 401k administrator or the IRA custodian. Open any necessary accounts and obtain their rollover instructions and receiving account details. Next, request a direct trustee-to-trustee transfer from your old plan to avoid withholding and the 60-day clock associated with indirect rollovers. Once the funds arrive, purchase equivalent low-cost index or target date funds that match your asset allocation plan. After settlement, rebalance as necessary according to your written investment policy statement. Finally, retain all confirmations and tax forms, including the 1099-R from the distributing plan and the 5,498 from the IRA custodian, for your records. This mind map centers on the decision for your old 401k. The primary branches prompt you to evaluate fees, the investment menu, the backdoor Roth constraint, the desire for simplicity, and the need for flexibility. If administrative fees or expense ratios are high in the old plan, it suggests avoiding the leave it option. If you need to keep your traditional IRA balance at zero for the backdoor Roth, the map points toward rolling into a new 401k. If flexibility and low fees are paramount and the backdoor Roth is not a constraint, the map points toward a traditional IRA. Consolidation is a secondary consideration after fees and access to quality funds. This timeline shows the typical flow. During preparation, you inventory current holdings and collect fee disclosures. Next, you choose the destination based on fees, flexibility, and backdoor Roth constraints. Then, you initiate a direct trustee-to-trustee transfer to minimize errors. Funds transit over several days. Upon arrival, you invest in your chosen low-cost funds and confirm the allocation. Lastly, you verify statements and retain tax forms like the 1099-R and 5,498 for accurate tax reporting. Each phase reduces the chance of mistakes and keeps you focused on long-term cost control. If you are a high earner considering a backdoor Roth, be careful. The pro-rata rule aggregates your pre-tax dollars across traditional, SEP, and simple IRAs. If you have pre-tax balances when you convert, a prorated share of the conversion becomes taxable. To avoid this, many high earners aim to keep their traditional IRA balance at zero before any Roth conversion. A common workaround is to first roll pre-tax IRA dollars into an employer 401k that accepts roll-ins, assuming the plan has acceptable fees and funds. After that, funding a non-deductible IRA contribution and converting to a Roth can proceed with minimal tax friction. Always verify details with your tax professional. Quiz time. The question is, true or false? Moving your old 401k to a new account makes you lose the gains you already earned. Option A is true. Option B is false. You may pause the video now to think about your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B, false. Returns arise from the investments inside the account, not the wrapper itself. When you move to a new container, you are not erasing past performance. You are simply changing the account structure, fees, and available investment menu. Second quiz. Which option is typically best for a high earner planning a backdoor Roth conversion who currently has pre-tax IRA money? Option A, roll to a traditional IRA. Option B, leave it in the old 401k. Option C, roll into the new 401k first, then do backdoor Roth. Option D, convert everything to Roth immediately without planning. You may pause the video now to think about your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is C. Rolling pre-tax IRA funds into an eligible employer 401k can reduce your traditional IRA balance to zero, which helps avoid the pro-rata complication when performing a backdoor Roth conversion. As always, verify plan rules and confirm fee and fund quality before executing. Here are the key points. Containers do not create returns. The investments inside do. Low fees and flexibility should outweigh sentiment about prior performance in a specific plan. Pair investment menus and expense ratios across your options before moving. High earners need to consider the pro-rata rule when planning backdoor Roth conversions. And finally, prefer direct trustee-to-trustee rollovers to reduce operational risk and tax withholding complications. To conclude, prioritize containers that minimize total cost and maximize access to quality funds. If backdoor Roth is part of your plan, aim to keep your traditional IRA balance at zero before conversions to avoid the pro-rata rule. Consolidation is helpful, but not at the expense of low-cost, high-quality investments. Ultimately, select the container that offers the lowest long-term cost for accessing broad, diversified index, or target date funds. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like the video, share it with someone facing a rollover, and subscribe for more straightforward money guides. I would love to hear your strategy and questions in the comments, so share your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one.